Good evening, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Comic Book Weekly. And guess what? All three of us are on tonight, so you're in for a treat. I'm Mike Spiderslayer from Comic Book Corner 2.0. We got Kat Comic Uno. We got Brant at Only Good Comics. Guys, it's not a heavy news week this week, but we're still going to have a lot of fun, and we're still going to make sure we try to get some of your guys' comments and questions and everything else. And so I guess I'll just go ahead and dive into this bad boy, and we'll dive into all the news that we got.
Yeah, there's at least some fun news pieces to talk about. So we are gonna jump in. First up is the trailer from Super Bowl. The Thunderbolts trailer came out. I didn't see it because I don't love watching trailers after the first one. So we've already had a Thunderbolts trailer. So I was like, all right, I'm going to kind of stand by. I know Captain America had a trailer too. And was like, that comes out this week. I don't need another trailer.
Yeah, I didn't watch that one. I just now watched the Thunderbolts one as we were setting up. So I didn't get the full, picture of it, but I saw some cool scenes that weren't in the previous one. So
I think it was all right. I mean, This is a movie just based off of this trailer that I saw off of the Super Bowl. I wasn't like blown away. I was like, oh, look, maybe it's because we knew about this movie for so long, and I was kind of like, knew about the characters, and I just feel like this is one of those movies that's been in the works for so long that I still think it's like stuck in that old phase, and it's not part of what's coming up. Like, it's not part of the Fantastic Four. It's not part of the Avengers. It's not part of everything that's coming up that's new. It's just kind of in that limbo, and I feel that that's what type of movie this is.
I can see that, but I like, the characters in it. So I'm excited at least for like White Widow and Bucky and stuff like that. So, I'll definitely see it, but I totally get what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah. Like I like Bucky too. I think he's pretty cool. And I like White Widow also. Just not sure like what will transpire from this movie once it's complete,
Right. What kind of impact it'll have.
I'm curious for that for Captain America as well, and that comes out this week, so we'll see.
There's hints that maybe like the Sentry might be in this, or the Void, or something like that. So
yeah,
I don't know.
That could wouldn't be surprised because they were like pushing them for a little while in the comic books like a year or two ago. So wouldn't be surprised they're trying to set something up there.
Exactly, for sure.
All right, so that's the media news, believe it or not. So we're going to move on to some comic news. We have Massive Publishing partnering with Lunar to launch new product brands. So the indie creators that might have lost their, their sight of the direct market because of Diamond, they're giving an opportunity. I don't know the nitty gritty about the details, but I know like the whispers I've heard is that it's really expensive. I think it's like 60% or something like that. And usually wholesale is not that. It's usually like 50. So I remember hearing the numbers weren't great, but I think it's cool that we're seeing other players try to assemble the direct market again.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have too much to say about it. I kind of agree with you there. And it's good to see like these other publishers like working with Lunar and everybody else, because, I think that was kind of the worry about where will these smaller publishers go, after this whole Diamond collapse. It's like, okay, who are they gonna, are these, are Lunar or Penguin Random House going to work with these other companies,
Yeah, it is cool that they're, welcoming other indies to kind of go through Massive in this whole thing, the Massive Indies thing you mentioned. So I think that's cool that they're kind of, I don't know, picking up where, all those pieces fell apart with the Diamond thing. So yeah, it's pretty cool.
All right, moving on to the Vision and Scarlet Witch. They're getting a limited series. I feel like for the most part, like this run has just been mini-series to mini-series, but Brant, I know you are reading it.
Yeah. I've read every single issue. I'm a fan of Steve Orlando's writing on this book, and he's writing this series as well. So, like you said, it's just continuing on. We're just adding the Vision into the mix, and these doors that open up in Scarlet Witch, there's all these doors opening all over the place. So that's kind of what this is going to follow. So yeah, I'm on board with it.
You're the one that reads the Scarlet Witch book.
Yeah. And it's a fun read.
It even had Black Cat in it this week, and I didn't read it. It's
just I know. It was like, a fun issue too. Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah, no, I know this book's been out for a long time too. So Brant, you stick it with it. It shows how much you kind of like the vibe of it. And I love seeing long lasting series, especially the similar creative teams. So I think that's cool. All right, moving on to the big piece that came out today, and then we'll talk about the big piece. That's our topic video. But Gwen Stacy's coming back, it looks like, in May. Maybe. Yeah. Who knows? They're teasing it. And they've done this before. We've seen Gwen Stacy's gonna come back and then doesn't actually come back. I think out of everything that's been announced, this is the thing I'm most interested in, just because I think Gwen's an interesting character, and Peter with his love interests have not been doing well. So it's like, all right, maybe bring Gwen into the mix. But I also put, I don't know if I have a huge amount of faith in it, but at least this one interests me a little bit more than some of the previous announcements.
I would find it interesting, like if she interacted with Spider-Gwen at all. So, I think that would be kind of fun. I like the teaser where it says nothing is sacred, because that's basically poking fun at comics, because it's the truth. But yeah, it's like, okay, that's fine and well, but we've had Gwen in various forms for years and years and years, so it's not like she's really been gone, Yeah. But I know it's this version of Gwen that's kind of different. So I don't have a whole lot of faith in it either, but we'll see what happens. I'll reserve judgment till I actually see what they do with it.
So like supposedly it's the original Gwen, because it's like you're taking her out of the grave there, and it's like recently we had her come back, obviously, as Ghost Spider-Gwen, however you want to call her, from the different universe. But we had her in, was it Clone Conspiracy? Was that what it was? Dan Slott's run?
Yeah, I think she was in that.
Was that was that what it was? Where it was like Kane was the guy, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Who like brought everybody back, and
then it was Ben. I thought it was Ben. Was it Kane?
Ben, I think it was.
Ben. No, it was Ben. Yeah. Sorry, Ben. Yeah. Ben. And then like everybody melted at the end. Do you remember that? Like their jeans like fell apart. So, and I think Gwen Stacy was one of them, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for sure.
So we've seen it. And again, we've seen it before and not actually stick. So, and again, I do agree with Brant. Like, the much more interesting character for this to happen to is Spider-Gwen, because it affects her more. And again, with the whole Peter Parker flip-floppy romances already, it's just, I don't know. I don't know what's going to really stick here.
Could you imagine if she does come back and they actually like for real keep her around?
I think it would be interesting, because she doesn't have much of a personality. I think that her death is the most personality. So I would like to see what they do with her.
Yeah, different versions of her have been much more interesting than the original Gwen, but like she's his first love, and with the whole Mary Jane situation, what it is, it could be interesting to see, like, if she stays, like if that rekindles what that does, to Mary Jane, all this stuff.
Yeah,
there's some stories that could be told there for sure.
Maybe Mary Jane gets jealous,
Yeah,
I mean,
could be.
Paul gets left.
Yeah. that'd be or Paul falls in love with Gwen, and then Peter and MJ fall back in love, and then there's that relationship. Who knows?
It's also weird. It's all because, again, like in a perfect world, they'd just be together and that's it. So knowing that that's an element you're not allowed to have, it's just like, well, who is Peter allowed to be with? And it's like, well, he's not allowed to be with anybody. It's just, then why do we keep having these stories? It's just like, if he's not allowed to be with anybody, I guess don't make him with anybody and just do his adventures, or allow him to be with somebody, because that's more interesting.
I mean, when you look at this story, it's kind of fairly new because it's like the new series launches in what, April? I think.
Let's find out.
It's April
I'm
or
pretty
May,
sure.
I don't.
Amazing Spider-Man, League of Comics. Let's see if we have a end date for the original one. All right, the current run ends in. Let's see. No. March. So yeah, it's April.
So
yeah.
This comes out in May. So if you get an issue once a month, if they stick to the once a month thing, then you would look at maybe anywhere between like probably issue 5, maybe 4, 6, right around there. So it's pretty new into the series, you know?
Yeah. I hope they set it up in the beginning to kind of get to this moment.
Yeah. I want to know who the fucker is that unburies her. Like, I want to know, like, why and what the point is, you know?
Yeah.
I think that's what's intriguing. So, I mean, it does make for an intriguing story. Like, what's the point of, you know, bringing her back?
Right.
And there's a lot of culprits, too.
What if Peter's like that desperate? He's like, I need a girlfriend again. You know?
I'll say if he starts digging the grave, that might be the jump the shark moment.
He doesn't like resurrect her. He just unburies her. It's just a
like,
skeleton.
Here she is.
He keeps her in a closet. She just sits on the chair like this, puts a wig on her again.
Or he's like, before I give you these powers back, Doctor Strange, let me let me bring my girlfriend back from the dead.
Yeah. Please. What's your wish? He asked Doom for it. Right?
That'd be so weird because also, like, why is he thinking about Gwen all these years later? Like, I know he thinks about her, but I don't. It'd be like, oh, man, when's my life been good?
Man, he doesn't have anybody. Mary Jane's a failure. Shay's a failure. You know, Black Cat's on again, off again, hook up. He needs the one true woman in his life, Gwen Stacy.
Is One World Under Doom still going on at that time? Because it would be messed up if that's just in his like new reality.
I don't know. Maybe because I think One World Under Doom's like, I don't know, maybe 6 issues. So if it only comes out like once a month, I would think so.
Yeah. So it could just be in his twisted reality of things.
Yeah, maybe it's not even real.
I could see that. Not actually progressing the story and making it all fake. That sounds like something amazing.
Right, exactly.
Exactly. It's just a dream. I don't know, man. We'll see. It might be an interesting story. I'm hoping that this story is just like that placeholder story where it's just there, and Joe Kelly's just building his whole Amazing Spider-Man run to something halfway decent. I'm just crossing my fingers here, man.
Let's hope so. All right, let's go into the main topic, which is Tom Taylor goes exclusive with DC. I think I saw a comment all the way up who said, "Who the hell is Tom Taylor?" So to tell you who Tom Taylor is, which I'm surprised by, is you know, he's a writer that's been around for like over a decade. He started with Injustice Gods Among Us. And then he did switch to Marvel for a while. He did some Iron Man. He did All New Wolverine. I think he did that Dark World book, whatever that was called. His
Dark
like little elsewhere Dark Ages.
Yeah, Dark Ages.
X-Men Red.
X-Men Red.
He's Spider-Man book in there. Yeah.
He's done a lot of characters for Marvel, and then DC. He obviously started with Injustice, but Dark Knights of Steel really put him on the map. That was a huge book. I think it's still continuing. He's on Detective Comics now, so he's writing Batman, kind of getting closer to that flagship. Nightwing is his huge book too. So, you know, he's just kind of been what I love about his career. I think he's been making his name so slowly, but also organically, and it's cool to see him make an exclusive deal. I feel like DC tends to be the only ones who do it anymore, and they tend to do it with artists more often than writers. So. Interesting to see them get Tom Taylor, which honestly they kind of needed in that regard because you know, again, they don't have as many exclusive deals and they have creators that they're working with like Joshua Williamson and Scott Snyder, but to keep them in their side of the camp, especially Tom Taylor, who's been so playing with both sides of the camp, is really interesting. Yeah, I mean, it also means that he's probably getting more money, which is great. And we're going to talk about the potential of what he's going to work on, but I want to hear Brent and Mike's opinion on just like him going exclusive first.
I I think it's great. I mean, I think he's done so much for DC that it totally makes sense. And I wouldn't say necessarily his run on Nightwing has sealed the deal. I think it's Detective Comics. I think when you look at probably
there's been so few issues,
maybe yeah, there's only been a few issues, but I think like when you look at Detective, I think the people are responding to that series really well. And I think that might have sealed the deal for him to get that exclusive contract, because if he can write Detective like this, and I'm not saying he'll write Batman, right? But what makes you think he would not get a chance to write Batman?
I think that's the point, if I'm being honest. I have a feeling he is going to be the next Batman writer. I don't think you just give an exclusive deal and don't make him write one of the bigger characters for the flagship book.
Yeah, and he's already played in the Superman, side of things. And I mean, he's got that, history with Nightwing and everything. Am I misremembering, did he write Earth 2 or no?
Did he write what?
He did.
Yeah, I thought he wrote Earth 2.
Yeah.
So he's had several like long lasting runs on top books. You mentioned Injustice, Nightwing, Earth 2, Dark Knights of Steel, all these show up, proven track record. And I personally think his strongest stuff has been at DC. So it kind of makes sense to me that he would kind of, stay there, especially if he's going to get like Batman or, Superman or something big like that. So, I think it's a wise choice on both parts, and I'm excited to see what he does.
What do you think he could write besides Batman? What else would you want him to write if you had a choice?
I would really like to see him write Wonder Woman. I think that'd be interesting because he does female leads really well. And I want him to write a big title. I want him to do something that's like, a bigger character.
Go ahead, Mike.
I was going to say, I would like him to do maybe Flash.
Oh, yeah, that would be good. Yeah. With the female hero, putting aside bigger books and stuff, I would love to see him on some kind of Batgirl book.
Oh, but, yeah, sure.
Yeah, that would be
selfishly.
Cool.
Yeah, Batgirl or Birds of Prey or something like that has some strong female leads. Because that all new Wolverine run was so good, with Laura and Gabby. So yeah, Flash is a good one though. Justice League, I'd like to see what he could do with the premier team of DC.
Yep, Kenneth said he wouldn't mind Tom Taylor writing Supergirl or the Flash.
Supergirl would be interesting
too.
Yeah.
It's been a while too since we've had like a main Supergirl series, so
yeah, I would
so
like
much
to see
that he could write.
Sure, and I would, and it would have to be like you said, like an ongoing series, no mini series. I think an ongoing, just so you have that consistency. And I just think that's when the book obviously does the best. Like Nightwing, I know was kind of just a little bit. It was like a drawn out story, and we were kind of like bored with that story, but Batman's a little bit different, it seems like, you know what I'm saying? And I just feel like a title can really grow when it's more than like 6 issues,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think Green Arrow and Black Canary would be interesting because of what he wrote with Injustice. I'm gonna read this comment. Loader said, I love Tom Taylor. He's so talented, and I hate the harassment and hate he gets. I'm sorry, you can't say he's not talented or wouldn't get the contract haters.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I think if it's not your cup, your cup of tea, don't. It's just not your cup of tea. I'm sure. I know he got a lot of hate for like the Superman stuff, and then
Suicide
Nightwing.
Squad.
Suicide Squad. I don't know if he got. Maybe he did, but I loved his Suicide Squad. I thought it was great.
I thought it ended too soon. I think that was the problem with it.
I remember he jumped onto that other Marvel book after. So again, it goes back to he was like torn to two different companies.
Right.
So, but yeah, no, I like if you don't like a book, you don't like a book. And also like a writer could be talented and you could love a writer and not love all his projects. Like I love Tom Taylor for the most part. I really liked every series he's written. But there's certain books where I'm like, oh, this wasn't for me. But that doesn't mean he's a bad writer. And you most likely won't write like every single book a writer puts out because that's not how it works.
Right.
I didn't like X-Men Red. I didn't think that was a very good book. The Dark Ages book was mediocre in my opinion.
Right.
His all new Wolverine was actually, I thought, was really good because he did something different with the character and added characters to it.
I think the Dark Age book suffered because Dark Knights of Steel was coming out at the same time, and there was that comparison. And I know it tainted it for me. Yeah.
Right. And it was very like rushed. It seemed rushed at the end too.
Yeah.
His Superior Iron Man was really good. That was really good. I think besides his Wolverine book, I really love that Superior Iron Man book. And what did he do? Did he do Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, or did he do a Spider-Man?
He did Friendly Neighborhood.
Yeah,
that was all right. That wasn't. It was nothing spectacular. No pun intended. It was just that it was okay.
Yeah. We have 2 comments. One, infamous Mike Mahan says, "Does Tom have any creator-owned books?" He does. He has Secret Society. That also kind of ended abruptly. I remember really liking it, and then the ending, I was like, "Oh, that happened a little quickly."
Right.
The other is from T-Lim29. If Tom Taylor is really that good, throw him on the lowest tier heroes and give him time to make them popular again. Yeah, but because DC is throwing so much money at Tom Taylor, he has to be on a bigger book like this, because again, you could do your second or third book as your, Mr. Terrific, whatever, but like you can't. It's hard to sell a C-list character. But that doesn't mean he won't do it. It just means that he has to do a bigger character before that.
Right. Was the Deep creator owned, or was that like a franchise book that he just wrote?
Creator owned, but it was based on a show. So like he made the television show and then he made the comic books, but it was his creator owned stuff.
Yeah. So he's got that too.
I think Tom Taylor did his time when it comes to lower tier characters.
Yeah.
Justice
Gods Among Us.
Right. I mean, he started with Elseworld books, right?
Right.
Earth 2, Injustice, like all that stuff is just, stuff you could do whatever with, but he did the best that he could with it, and I just think he worked his way up through the ranks, and then Nightwing, and then now Detective, and now he's pretty much on the second biggest book. I mean, Detective Comics is a huge book.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
one of the longest running.
Yeah. I mean, listen, I don't know what else. I mean, you just got a new creative team on Green Arrow, so I don't think they would stick him on Green Arrow right now. Maybe they just let him ride on Detective for a little while and go through this Hush storyline, and then maybe that's when you put him on the main Batman title, and then you get another new, creative team on Detective. I don't know. But there will be a little while before we get that announcement for Batman. You think? I don't know. Maybe it has to be sooner.
I don't know. I mean, I think it'll be before San Diego Comic-Con. That's what I predict.
Yeah.
I feel like we'll probably get in like May, maybe, the announcement. I saw another comment. Rookie asks, are there any exclusive writers with Marvel at all right now? The last exclusive writer I knew of was Dan Slott. And obviously he's not exclusive anymore because he's writing Superman. Right. So I don't know of any personally. I'm sure. I know there's a lot of exclusive artists to Marvel. They like to kind of keep their artists there, but I don't know of any writers right currently.
I mean, Hickman was pretty loyal to them, but I don't know if he has any exclusive deals with them. You know what I'm saying?
Which really shows the shell out money situation. The reason why exclusive deals have become a bit more distinct and why you don't hear them all the time, like you used to like 15 years ago, is because they're expensive. It's just like it's like here it is, like here's your money, so you could stay with us for a little while. So I'm sure that's the reason why Marvel doesn't really do it. And again, DC doesn't do it very often.
But if you know that this guy is going to move the needle for you, he's going to sell comic books, then it might be worth it for you. I mean, there obviously is an audience for Tom Taylor, right? Writing DC comic books. Otherwise, they would not have given him that deal.
Yeah.
Right.
So, I mean, think about that. They gave that deal over Mark Waid, who's currently been there writing all that stuff, over Joshua Williamson, which maybe they did offer him But he was probably like, I'm going to write some Energon Universe shit. So
I'm sure,
Yeah.
because why would he take away the G.I. Joe stuff?
Right.
That's, I'm sure.
That could have been the plan all along. So
No.
there could have been other people there that they may have asked, and they probably said, nah, I want to do some other things, you know. But Mark Waid's an interesting one because he made this switch to DC a while ago, and he's written a lot of other stuff, you know, for DC, and it's just like, I wonder why he didn't get that deal, you know.
Maybe he's next. I'm sure he's had exclusive deals with DC. Maybe he's like, I've been there, done that. My personal view, the Mark Waid's current writing at DC is that I know a lot of people love it and has been selling really well, but I also feel like it is one step in the past of DC Comics. It does feel a little older in that regard. That doesn't mean it's a bad thing, but like his World's Finest, I like his Justice League Unlimited. We'll see where it goes, but it's obviously just trying to play off of the television show. Like I do feel like Tom Taylor brings a newer voice to DC Comics.
Yeah. I agree. He is a newer writer.
Yeah. Williamson is exclusive, but his contract that he could do the Energon stuff. Oh, okay, cool. So he has an exclusive contract, but it's flexible. I did not know that. I'm not surprised by that, but that's cool. Cool. That is all the news. Before we jump into some comics, I do have some Kickstarters. So let's also, I guess, to answer Tevye, what about Peter J. Tomasi? He writes for Ghost Machine. I don't know if that's affected because of it being indie, but yeah, I don't think he even writes for DC anymore.
I agree. I don't think he does anymore.
Right.
Yeah. So you're not going to see an exclusive deal for someone who doesn't write there.
Yeah. I think a lot of the Ghost Machine people are exclusive to Ghost Machine.
I wouldn't be surprised, honestly.
Yeah.
All right, let's get to some of those Kickstarters. First, I'm going to talk about Little Mermaid. This is our Ever Afterverse book. So if you like universes that are connected, but still new reader friendly, go check this one out. It's what happens after the Little Mermaid and what happens after you say the end and you have your happily ever after. And you're well, maybe that doesn't mean I'm happy. And there's pirates and mythology delved into here. So if you like Little Mermaid, I think you'll enjoy this one. And just like Marvel, we have a red band version, so you can get the sexy version, and you have the sweet version. So if you're not looking for a not safe for work book, we have the safe for work, and if you are looking for a not safe for work book, we have that, and we actually make changes. There's honestly, actually 2 extra pages in the spicy version, so you can see what's different with that. All right, moving on to the next Kickstarter here. Let me just screen share again, which is Rainbow Canvas. This, if you're looking for a fun, fluffy romance webtoon comic book, go check this one out. It's some of the most popular GL and BL webtoons, and you get to see an original story from them. So if you're a webtoon fan, I think you could definitely check this one out. All right, those are all the Kickstarters. We are going to move on to some comics. For me, I didn't have a lot of comics this week. I only had 8, but next week I have a bit more.
Yeah, it's a big week next week. I had a decent amount though. I read quite a bit still this week. So
I read like 16 books, I think, something like that.
Yeah, I'm right around in the same range, I think. All right, so let's get started. We're going to talk about Red Coat actually came out last week. So
take it off.
We can talk about it. Did you want to talk about it, Brent?
We can talk about it briefly.
Okay. So let's talk about Red Coat issue 9. So this is more of a standalone issue, teaming up with Johnny Appleseed. You wind up getting to see kind of like their relationship with each other, trying to take out this arsonist, I think it was. And it was cool seeing them interact with each other because one is more of like a free spirit and the other one obviously is like, hired a hitman, and he doesn't know anything more. He knows more about violence and all this other thing. So it was great to see these two balance it out with each other and just who Johnny Appleseed is and like what he does. I thought it was a very interesting one-shot type of book.
Yeah, it was a fun little side story, and Johnny Appleseed, just like his character, and the way that he was always, helping people, and he just wants to make everybody happy and give everybody a good time and all. Like, I thought that was a nice balance for Simon, for sure, and their friendship was interesting because of that. So yeah, I'm looking forward to like some more arcs. I think next issue is like a one shot too. I forget who it is. Is it
it's like
Annie Oakley or something like that?
Rifle or something like that.
Yeah, Annie Oakley, I think.
Yeah.
Something like that. So yeah, I'm looking forward to more, longer form stories, but these are fun little side stories we're getting.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you 100%. All right, so let's talk about, there's 2 good books here. So let's talk about Ultimates issue 9. So Kat doesn't read this, but you and I do, and I kind of got your thoughts because I watched some of your Friday Firsts today. And so you talked about the Ultimates, and you supposedly you like this issue. You kind of like this version of Luke Cage and kind of what he stands for. And someone made an interesting comment on my comments when it came to this book when I covered it, and they said the 9-panel grid made you feel like you were almost like in the prison with Luke Cage. It made it feel like everything was very compact and it was done purposely that way.
Oh, I didn't notice that, but yeah, I can see it now that you say it. Yeah, that's kind of cool if that was by design.
So what did you think of the issue overall, though? You did like it?
Yeah, I like the issue. It's not my favorite issue. It was a little bit, we slowed down a little bit to kind of introduce Luke Cage, and it was, we went back in the past to show how he got in prison, show what his struggles were, how he joined the Ultimates, what he's doing now, and all this stuff. So it was very, centered on Luke. So again, very slower issue, but it was good. I like this version. He goes to prison wrongfully accused of something just because of, I assume it's the Maker has a list, and his name was on this list. He was only 15 years old. He gets put in there, and even when he's like rescued, he decides to stay there because he thinks he can do more good reforming people and kind of, gathering people together. So I thought that was, I don't know, it spoke of his character and everything. So similar origin, but different in a lot of ways too. So
yeah, I liked it too. I mean, I liked it's a good concept. Like the Maker is trying to prevent the heroes from being in this universe. So they're like, well, let me stick them in jail, and keep them in jail. So it totally makes sense. But and I like the ending too with like Iron Lad in there too. So that was kind of awesome too. So I'm definitely looking forward to the continuation of this and maybe things starting to speed up again because we've been introducing more characters, but good book, man. All right, let's talk about which book I think is pretty damn good. It's Absolute Superman. This is issue 4. This is a solid book because for the most part, we already know who Superman is, right? It doesn't matter, kind of like you change his powers a little bit, you change his look a little bit, right? You know where he comes from. But I like how this book really is slowly introducing the supporting cast to make it a all-around great comic book. And I loved how we got introduced to General Lane and how we got introduced to Jimmy Olsen and who he is, and the mysterious woman that works by his side. They're part of the Omega Man. Who's good, who's bad, which side is Lois on, trying to what's it called? Trying to have a conversation with Clark just by herself. It was just so many great things. One of the coolest things that I like is like what Brainiac supposedly is in this world also. Just really intriguing to me. So overall, it's really well done issue. The artwork is really good. I love everything about it.
Yeah, I like that Lois doesn't maybe figures out she's not on the right side. I thought Jimmy was interesting here. I want to know who's underneath the other mask. Who that person is.
Someone indicated saying that maybe it could be Lana.
Oh, that's really interesting. That'd actually be really, really cool. I was thinking more like like Gotham. I was like, oh, maybe it's like Renee or something, because like for some reason it brought that vibe. But Lana's really cool. Lena is interesting because people like using her. But I agree, the supporting characters are just so fun, and I really like this issue. This book continues to surprise me. Because I didn't expect to like it as much as I do, especially as someone who's not like the biggest Superman fan. But honestly, I think DC's been killing it with Superman lately, and great because we got that movie coming up soon.
Absolutely.
Right. Yeah. No. At first, when I was reading this, I got a little worried because the grid where they were like interviewing all the people that have interacted with them and stuff. I was like, oh, this is feeling like that. Oh, what is
Heroes in Crisis?
Yeah, Heroes in Crisis. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So
I remember that.
At first, I was like, oh, here we go. But then, the way it was done, it was done a little smoother here, and it they jumped out of the grid and didn't just stay there, so that made it a little bit easier of a transition and stuff. But yeah, the supporting characters in this book are great. I like the way that he's just kind of in the shadows and just pops up here and there and just to do his thing, and it's very similar to the Superman we know, but acting completely different in the way that he's guarded. He's keeping, like I said, to the shadows and everything. But the interesting thing is the supporting cast, as they're discovering, who he is and what he's all about through all these other people and through their limited interactions with him. It's just become a really strong book. So yeah, I'm enjoying this.
I forgot about this to you guys. What did you think about the Peacemaker in this? Because he's going AWOL, and he shoots all those people trying to get at Superman.
He's losing. Yeah, he's having blackouts or whatever.
Yeah.
But it also shows that other side might not be the greatest either. I think that was like an interesting contrast.
Yeah. That was very interesting. So absolutely really good book. All right. So let's move on to our number 5. Kat, what's your number 5 this week?
My number 5 is Red Before Black. It's that Stephanie Phillips book from Boom. It's just a fun series about these like two girls from different sides of the tracks kind of situation who have to interact with each other, and it's fun. I think in another week I don't know if it would have made my top 5, but I always have a good time with the characters, even if the plot I don't feel like is as strong. But I like it. I think it's a good time.
Cool. Very cool.
I fell off that one. I read the first 2 issues, and then I guess I just forgot about it. I liked what I read, though. It's a more forgettable
one. But it's also like if you have a lot,
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, exactly. I liked the book. I remember liking the book. I just it slipped my mind, I guess.
So what was your number 5 then, Brent?
Mine was Scarlet Witch. So we talked about it a little bit earlier, but yeah, Black Cat breaks into this impregnable library that Scarlet Witch has, and she's still in an artifact. And in the process, this person that Scarlet Witch rescued and is kind of mentoring, did something to Black Cat and kind of caused her to go crazy. So she's like causing all kinds of chaos. She destroys the laws of physics, and so everything is like wonky. The art's crazy and everything, and they're battling each other, and she's empowered by magic, so she's holding her own against Scarlet Witch. So it's just this fun little thing. They solve that, they get through it, and all this stuff. But yeah, I like those kind of stories in this book because it's all about the guest stars, and this one is obviously one of my favorites. So yeah, it's a solid issue.
Cool. My number 5 was actually Avengers issue 23. Another book that had Black Cat in it. And this was interesting because if this book did not deliver, I was going to drop this book. And this just proves again that Jed MacKay can write Black Cat, because this story was pretty solid in here. She works with Kane for a particular reason. It's not for money, right? It's so she can actually get to spend time and do a mission with her father in the past. And that's very heartwarming. She is not around her father anymore, and she just wanted to spend time with him. And I loved how the Avengers were like, well, Felicia, why would you ever work with him? And this and that. And she's like, yeah, well, this is why. Now, a little bit of the downside is you get to see the Avengers fight random characters, which you see 1,000 times in this series. And that's the downfall of this comic. I just feel like that's all Jed MacKay can do with these guys is just have them fight, and he just doesn't seem to really get the grasp of these characters or how to balance them out to where, I don't know, something matters in this series. But when you look at it as a Black Cat issue, kind of like how I did, I was like, I really like this,
Yeah.
And so I'm looking forward to more.
I really like this issue too because of the Black Cat stuff, and I agree with you. I think putting them in this tribulation event thing has set them on this course where they are just constantly fighting, and the intricacies of that plot when you involve Kang and remind us of why they're doing this and that, it does make it a little bit more interesting. But if you're just going on their fights against random groups of people, which is what we've gotten every single arc of this series so far, it's a little disheartening. But I love Black Cat in this issue. I love, like, when she first came on panel, I almost said on screen. She was like, he made me a really good pitch, and she was like, basically, so you came to me instead of traveling to the past or the future and getting any thief in history, you chose me. Yeah, that's a great pitch. I'm getting, and that was all she needed. So I thought that was fun. That was very Black Cat. Anytime, like you said, Jed MacKay writes Black Cat, I'm paying attention. So that made the book for me too. Once she's out of the book, though, we'll see if exactly. So
exactly.
I don't know.
I think she's got one more issue. She's got one more issue left, so we'll see. And I think then at that point, it's going to probably tie into One World Under Doom. So we'll see what happens there too. Appreciate the super sticker. Thank you so much. It's awesome. On my phone, it shows, like, here it doesn't really show it just shows that we got a super sticker, but on my phone it shows a big like emoji with like heart faces on the eyes. So nice. It's awesome. So thank you. So yeah, like KG Comics says that MacKay's Avengers is definitely a bit underrated. I don't know, man. I just, it hasn't been the best in my eyes. I just feel like it's kind of just spinning its wheels and it doesn't really go anywhere. And it's funny because this is the first issue that in a long time that it's gone back to the original plot from the original story arc, right. So I was happy that they did go back to that a little bit because they totally abandoned that whole story. So
it's like, it's so weird to me. Oh, I'm sorry. Finish.
No, you can finish.
I was just going to say, it's so weird to me that, like Black Cat and like Mary Jane and Black Cat, all the very heavily focused on character. And in this book, when Black Cat's not in it, it's so action heavy and so light on character work. And that's kind of what takes me out of it. And you have some rich characters on the Avengers right now, and you're not, tapping into that. So that's where the disconnect is for me.
Yeah. There's something there that he's missing. Let's see what this says here. Speaking of Black Cat, I just think it's just got Amazing Spider-Man 194 from my LCS last Wednesday for $40. I was so happy. I'm trying to complete the Amazing Spider-Man Volume 1. It's one I needed. Hey, that's great. Congratulations on that. I would say the same thing. Volume 1 for me too, but those lower issues are harder to find, more expensive to pay, and people don't let go of their Amazing Spider-Man comics. So people tend to hold on to those. So I can say from 1 through 100, I need quite a few of those books. All right, so let's see. Now we're going on to, let's talk about Rockefellers. Cat dropped it. So
I think I dropped it after issue 1.
Was it issue 1 you dropped it?
I think so. I don't think I got issue 2 for that one.
I think you were thinking about trying issue 2, but I guess you did not.
I think what's hard with the Ghost Machine, they always tend to they always release all the time, but like the books I'm like, oh man, I'll try out. They release on the weeks where I get like 20 books and I'm like, well, I like this enough, but like I have 20 other books to read.
Yeah.
Even Hyde Street is one like that. I'm enjoying enough, but it's very serialized. And a lot of time when it comes out, it's those weeks where I'm getting like the 20 books. And I'm like, oh, I don't know how long I can stick with this book.
Gotcha.
All right. So with Rockefellers, I read this one. I liked it, but it's still more of the same. We don't get a lot of plot progression. It's more of the story, more of the family just kind of hanging around the house doing their everyday lives. And which I don't mind, but it still hasn't really developed the characters at all. You know, and I think that's my issue with it. I'm fine with your everyday life, but I need to know who you are as a person, why I care for you as a character.
Yeah, it's like the issue 2, because it was the Christmas issue and they were, shopping for a Christmas tree, all that stuff. That was fun and I could forgive that, right?
Right.
But now we get into this issue and like you said, it's more of the same and a little less of the character stuff because you did get that moment with the wife dealing with, her coworker, and you got the little girl playing with her toys and kind of playing out how much she misses her grandma.
Right.
Didn't make the trip with them. So there were a few little bright moments in here where you did get some character highlights, but it wasn't like that real, deep character building or even story progression. We got little tidbits. We got a couple of pages where we referenced, the story, whether it was him talking to his brother about this, scientific find, or whether it was the bounty hunter on the other side. But that was very little, and the rest of it was, like you said, them just hanging out, doing whatever. And it's like, where is this going? Like, what are we building to? Because I don't know. So
yeah, exactly. So I'm like, let's hope now we get a little bit more like actual story progression, and I don't mind characters doing things.
Yeah,
but you gotta make me care for the character. Like, okay, it's great, you can fly a helicopter upside down, you were, had inappropriate touching at work, but like, how does that really progress the character? The girl with the situation with, her kind of being traumatized by the grandma, again, great moment, but does it really progress her? Why do I like her?
I guess, it's like these 3 issues together, and that's 3 full issues, 3 months of story is like the first 2 opening minutes of a movie, catching you up to where people to get to the starting point, right? So it's not progressing fast and far enough for me. So hopefully it does get better going forward. I do like the book, I like the characters, but I need more. So.
Exactly, right there with you. All right, so let's talk about Batman issue 157. Kat, what did you think about this conclusion to Chip Zdarsky's run?
I thought I put everything a little bit too neatly in a box. I feel like everything that was progressed, they were like, okay, cool. Jim, you had that fling, fine. That's that now we can forget about it. Oh, I'm not your brother, actually. That was wrong. And yeah, no, I thought it was all very convenient, obviously, to get to the next arc and the next version of Batman.
What do you think about Commissioner Gordon using the utility belt and being as old as he is, can kind of fling around buildings and be okay? I mean, listen,
that was interesting.
And Batman, listen, I know you're Batman. I know you fell from space, but you're standing on top of a freaking jet, cutting off wings. Like, even for Batman, I think that's a little bit much. I mean, what do you guys think about that? It's comics,
no,
I get it. But really, he's a human, dude.
No, the only thing I'll say,
the only thing I'll say is he did have experience with the when Batman was dead or missing or whatever it was, and he had the exosuit thing. So he had a little bit of experience, but I agree. He's aged quite a bit since that point, and he's looking a little haggard. So I think that was a bit of a reach.
Yeah, I mean he's just wearing his regular suit. And he's standing on a plane. It was just weird. I was just like, man, that's a lot. And for that plane to actually land perfectly in between the buildings, he's like, well, I have this amount of much feet in order to land the plane right here. I can do it, guys. It was like a perfect like action movie. It was so funny. I was laughing. But I agree with Kat. Kat makes a good point. It's like everything ends up perfect. You know, the brother's not the brother. You know, Commissioner Gordon gets to go on the police force again. Eventually, he's probably going to wind up being commissioner again too. You know, there's everything there that just kind of works out.
It was the classic, you know, you can play with the sandbox, but make sure all the toys are back in their place before you leave, kind of thing. So
yeah, exactly. So we'll see what happens. We got Hush here, Hush 2 coming out, and then you know, and then we'll during that time, I'm sure we'll find out who that new creative team is, and we'll take it from there. Is there anybody, say, besides Tom Taylor, that you would like to see write Batman?
I mean, I love Jeremy Adams. I think, or Joshua Williamson. I think those are great people. I think it's interesting because it's so obvious they're buying time, though, because like I feel like Hush 2 would be its own comic in a different reality. I think they're like, we need to buy time for another writer.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, I'd like to see Jeremy Adams write anything, so it's kind of hard to. I'm trying to think of other writers that are like at DC that aren't like, you know, doing other big things. I'm not sure. Those are the two names that I would pick up too.
I don't know who I would want to write Batman. I honestly really don't, because there's just so many like of the great writers that are there already writing so many books. So like, I really don't know who I would want to write the character. But all is I hope is I want a good run. Like I want that writer to be on that book. Hopefully writes a good story or good stories and just have them be on there for a while. We've had a lot of writers on this title for quite a while now. Like who do we have? James Tynion, right? And we had Chip Zdarsky. Who else did we have write Batman since?
I think that's it. I think those. I'm trying to think if there was someone in between James.
There
and
was.
Chip,
it was a short stint. Was it Joshua Williamson that wrote?
I don't think so. I think he wrote Batman and Robin.
There's somebody that wrote it in between James Tynion and I think Chip Zdarsky, and I can't remember who it is. If you guys know in the comments, let me know. He introduced a villain. It was a first appearance of a particular villain too. Forgot what it was. It was like he wore this armor and it was black and oh my god, I can't.
I might be able to figure it out. League of Comics. They haven't changed the numbering either, so it's been a while. Let me see. Between Chip Zdarsky and let's see. All right, hold on. I'm almost there because I think Joshua Williamson. It was around 150. He left, so I think it was Chip Zdarsky.
Manhattan said it was Williamson that wrote it.
Oh, he did? Okay.
Yeah.
And he has small. Okay.
Yeah. It's 120, 118, something like that.
Interesting.
So he did write it. Because I remember it was somebody that wrote it for, I think it was like it was like right after James Tynion, I think. And it was like a 6-issue story arc or something like that. And
he wrote a 3-issue
all those events.
Yeah, he wrote a 3-issue story arc from 118 to 120 called Abyss, where Batman leaves Gotham.
Okay, I think
that I completely forgot about.
Maybe. Yeah.
I did not remember that at all.
Yeah.
People are saying Philip Kennedy Johnson would be cool. Rom V.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I can't do Rom V. I can't.
No, but Philip Kennedy Johnson would be interesting. Yeah.
That would be.
He's currently writing Hulk. Oh, I was gonna say Rom V. I agree. I haven't been able to get into his stuff. People were talking about Charles Soule. It's been a while since I've read a Charles Soule book because he's mostly, I know you guys liked his 8 Billion Genies, but he mostly for mainstream stuff, I think worked on Star Wars for a very
He's still working. He's still writing
Star Wars. He worked on the new Kylo Ren book.
Yeah. So I feel like he's been playing in that playground for a long time.
Yeah. I think that's like his thing at Marvel right now.
Right.
So he's been doing that. All right, so we talked about that one. So let's see. Batman, Avengers, Rockefellers, number 4. Brant, what's your number 4?
Mine actually was Star Wars: The Legacy of Vader, which was the Kylo Ren book. So I actually really liked the story. I thought he nailed Kylo Ren's character it felt like I was watching, a side story from the movie. The art was really good depiction of the actor as well. And I like how he's like trying to get rid of all the past. He's trying to purge himself of everything, just like we saw in the movie. But now he's trying to get rid of Darth Vader too, and just try to move on. And meets that character that's like, you don't need to get rid of him. You need to embrace, your past, so it'll make you stronger, that kind of thing. So I thought it was a solid story, especially if you're a Star Wars fan.
Yeah, I mean, I liked it. I thought it was fine. I thought there was maybe a little bit too much of him in the book, like being, his whiny crybaby self. In my opinion, it took up a good portion of the book. Like, I didn't need all that to understand what he's going through,
Gotcha.
And then he goes to, was it Mustafar, right? And and then he comes across that weird thing, and I'm like, I don't know what to feel about this guy that's holding a head. Like, I really don't know where this is going. So I was just kind of like, we'll see. I'll check out the second issue. I thought it was okay. I didn't think it was the best book in my opinion. Because again, that cliffhanger and the weird robot holding a head, I was like, that's just odd to me. But I do like how maybe they might do some like flashbacks with Vader and him understanding like maybe, how to control his anger to help with his leadership of the where
the
they
First
call
Order.
It? Yeah, the First Order. So I thought that was an interesting concept. So we'll see what happens with it.
Yep.
All right. So let's see. Kat, what was your number 4?
Mine was Birds of Prey, issue 18. I think this book's improved a lot. I think the art's a lot better. Yeah. I think there's more focus on the characters. They don't like change a team every second. I like what they've been doing with Cassandra in this book. I like Black Canary and Sin's relationship. Yeah, I think it's just been it has more focus.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
so it's improved.
I agree. Yeah, it's definitely improved. It didn't make my top 5, but I did like this issue. I liked last issue as well. In this one you had 2 separate teams. You had Black Canary and Sin going off to because people are hunting them, so they were luring them in, and then you had Big Barda and Cass going to inside the seam to rescue or to help John Constantine with a mission. So it was fun breaking the teams up like that, and it was it's always good to see Barda and Cass together.
Yeah,
that's a fun dynamic. Yeah.
We had this comment. Charles is writing the Eddie Brock Carnage book coming out tomorrow. What's the thought on that? I'm kind of symbiote fatigued. I think.
I'm not even picking it up, honestly. I'm
really. You're not even trying it. I'm curious to see how long this is going to last. Like, I think that's what it is, and it's kind of dumb because it's like you had the movies, and people are like, "Oh yeah, shouldn't Eddie Brock be Venom?" And now all of a sudden he's Carnage. Like, way to confuse people, So, I don't know, man. Like, where does Cletus go? Like, he just up and leaves. Like, he's like, I don't know. It's weird, but I'll definitely check it out.
It's like we've done every version of Venom, every version of a symbiote we can with Brock. We haven't done Carnage yet. Oh,
yep.
Okay, let's do Carnage. That's what it feels
Why
like.
not?
So
yeah, they're like, let's go for that one.
Yeah, because that makes sense. But yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so we talked about Star Wars Vader issue 1. Did I give my number 4 or no?
I don't think so.
No. Poison Ivy issue 30.
Didn't even know you were reading it.
I didn't either.
I started reading it with the All In issues, and really good. Has to deal with Poison Ivy dealing with a situation where she's kind of learning about the gray and the green on how they've kind of fought each other. And it's an interesting issue because she has that supporting character. I forgot her name. I think it's Janet, which is like her girlfriend in the series. Janet goes out and explores this town that has been like resurrected or raised by poison ivy, wants to find out what it's about. And then you get to the middle of the issue and the issue flips upside down and the other stories with poison ivy, and you get to see her interact with her character, her other characters in the book, and they kind of meet in the middle with each other. Really interesting story. The artwork is so gorgeous in that book. I absolutely love it. And this was a good issue for me because I got to learn about a little bit more of the supporting cast in here. And it's kind of interesting because it's like, I feel like this girl Janet is going to eventually maybe go possibly against poison ivy. I don't know, but we'll see. I liked it. I thought it was a pretty interesting book.
Cool.
Yep. All right. So now we'll go on to Batgirl issue 4. What did you guys think of this one?
I do kind of think because we were talking about it last week. I don't remember if it was on camera or off camera, but it is doing a lot of the same things that we've been seeing every issue. And this issue in particular did a lot of that. I want to kind of, I don't know if I want to move past the mom stuff, but I want to like, what I liked about issue 2 was seeing a new characters. Like I liked her interaction with that family.
Yeah.
And I kind of want that. Like, I don't want you to change the story. Like I want to see more with her mom, but I just want to see more around it. And I feel like that part is slowed down.
I think the way this issue ended, I think we'll see a change in the way the direction of it, because she finally embraces her mom's kind of way of thinking by the end of this issue. So I did like that. And I like that, she kind of befriended that one dude that was just like, don't worry about all these other people. Will you join me? I like that aspect of it. And that even though we got a lot of the same stuff, it was finally all of them getting on the same page to fight this threat. So it did feel like there was progression, I guess is what I'm saying.
I just feel like the setting always feels the same. It's just like, I don't know. It just like, it doesn't move in that aspect of it. I always feel like I'm reading it in the same background or nothing. I don't know. It's for me, it's very repetitive. I want to like this. Like, I really want to like this book. And it's just like, for me, it's kind of there and it's kind of forgettable. It's not like the best book to the point where I'm like, this is such a great book. This is so good. Like, I'm like really losing interest. I'm reading it because I want to like it and I'm hoping that it gets better. And for me, it's just this way. It just stays the same across the board. So I'm going to keep reading in hopes that it gets better. How long do I continue to read it? I don't know. We'll see. If it comes out in a week where I get 30 books, that could be the end of it for me. So I was lucky that last week wasn't bad. So I decided to keep reading it.
Yeah.
I haven't watched a movie in 10 years. I feel 2025 will be the one. I'd go on. Yeah, that's crazy. Go watch a movie.
Fantastic Four, maybe.
I
you don't have to go to theaters.
Superman.
Yeah, go put on go on FX. I'm sure there's a movie on there.
All right, so now we move on to Sacrificers, issue 14. Brant and I read this book. What did you think about this issue? I thought this issue was actually really good.
Oh, did you drop this one too, Kat?
I did. I felt like this was better for me in trade. So I just felt like it was kind of slow. I dropped it probably a couple of months ago.
Okay. See, that's the way I'm feeling now.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't hate the issue. I didn't love the issue. So I was kind of just like, I think I'm just kind of bored with the story at this point, Mike. Mm-hmm. So I just haven't been loving it the past few issues, and maybe it would be a better trade read for me too. I like the characters. I like that we keep going back and forth between Pigeon and Seluna and their individual struggles and stuff. But I don't know. It's just something about the pacing and stuff that just takes me out of it a little bit.
I think probably what it could be is, like you said, it probably would read better in trade because we didn't get a last issue for a while.
Yeah.
So, and I think like when you get the book, you're kind of just like, you're taken out of the story a little bit. So I think if you were to read this back to back to back to back, I bet it would be a great trade read.
Yeah.
I like this issue because of the fact that Luna is working with the younger sister here, trying to say, hey, don't let me kill people because I got this spore inside of me. Right. And then she winds up falling asleep, but she winds up killing like all the guardsmen and everything else, all the people that are going to take all those little kids to be the next sacrificers. And then it looks like they're inside the castle the way it seems. And they're going to like invade the castle now at this point. So she could be coming face to face with her father. I'm not 100% sure there.
Yeah, I did like that she was trying to keep the kids safe after what she experienced and everything, that she knows that they're doing the wrong thing and stuff like that. So, and how it's coming full circle, like you said, with Beatrice and stuff. So there's elements I like of it. There's characters I like. It's just, again, it's the pacing and the gaps in between. So
yeah, I totally get that. I totally understand that. I wasn't sure how I was going to feel with this issue myself. Not reading a book, an issue for a while. So I was like, but I did manage to get into it. Okay. So let's go forward now to our number 3. Kat, what do you got for number 3?
Mine was Shazam, which is interesting because Sevi was like, that was such a bad book. Which I get from his. Yeah, I liked it. I guess in his opinion, because it's poking fun at the whole adult John thing, but I actually thought that was the best part. All right. Like the whole point of like Shazam being an adult and a kid, like why not make it John? I think that's such an interesting parallel. And yeah, it's him also taking the next step with Jay, him being like, oh, like, I don't know if I'm ready for that. And I thought there was a good interaction between him and Damian. I liked it. I think honestly, the part I didn't like as much was the art. I thought it could have been a little stronger, but I thought the story was good.
Yeah, it was a different creative team that came on for this issue too, right? So it was a more cartoony art style, which it could have been a little bit stronger. I agree with you, but I had fun with the story, and I liked that it poked fun at de-aging him back to the Super Son age, and like you said, the interaction with Damian. Damian's like, we're not those kids anymore. Leave me alone. Basically, I thought it was a fun issue. It was a fun little side issue, and I liked it.
Cool. And what was your number 3, Brian?
Mine was Batman Off-World number 6. Finally got the conclusion of this book.
Oh my God! Right? You want to talk about read a trade? Read that.
Yeah, that's crazy. But this has just been such a good book, though. I picked up easier with this than I did with Sacrificers, but. It helped that this was like very action heavy too and stuff. And ultimately full circle comes back. He knows all the pressure points of this thing that has taken over the Gotham underworld and is able to defeat him and make some allies and stuff and kind of spreads the legend of the Batman throughout the universe. So I thought that's pretty cool, considering this is like a flashback book to like year 1 or 2 or whatever it is. But I think that's it was a pretty cool concept, and I think it delivered well. I just wish it had come out more consistently.
Gotcha. Morrison, I just lost my freaking train of thought. So when it came to Batman Off-World, I was like, I love the part when he was like whispering and doing all that other stuff, like the Whisper Black Sun character. Right. And he's like being tortured and all that other stuff. And I'm just like, oh man, I'm
strong.
Like, yeah. And the artwork was pretty cool. This was really close to making my top 5. I think it was like number 6. Nice. I debated between this and Avengers. It was really, really close. I do like how it ended. And I just wish this book came out like 5 months ago. So
I know,
you would remember what happens,
Yeah.
So. All right, cool. My number 3 was actually Sacrificers, issue 14. All right, so let's see. Now we move on to Power Man Timeless. I'll let you talk about this one to start. I just got to text my wife real quick. What do you guys think?
Yeah. I got this book randomly because I wasn't getting a lot of books, and I know it's probably continues from other timeless stuff. And I felt like it kind of missed the purpose of who Luke Cage is. Like, he is a grounded hero. So to see him in this space could be interesting if you get to see him on a monthly basis, but it's also like one of the only chances you get to really see Luke Cage. So I thought it was a little bit of a strange book. I think it missed the mark for me.
Yeah, I don't know why they just kept him in space fighting some random villain. I didn't understand that, why he didn't go to Earth. Like you said, he's a grounded character and he's overpowered. So that would be really interesting to see him like collide with people on Earth instead of somebody I don't know who this is. So I like the concept of him having all these abilities and stuff, and the inner struggle and the narration being his inner voice. Which I thought was kind of fun, but I didn't understand like the point of it and where we're going with it. So I guess.
When it comes to the book too, I read it, and it was like interesting to see like Luke Cage with all these different powers, you know?
Yeah.
But I thought it was neat. It was like different that way. But it was just like what happened in the book was just so random. It was just like, let me come across the one person that's flying in space, and then the one villain that is chasing me, right? And we just come across this random battle. We wind up in this like celestial heart, slices them in half. It was just so weird. But the power set of the character is cool. Like, that's what I like about it. I like how he has the power of Immortal Hulk, where he can't die, and he has the power of the Sentry, and he has the power of Iron Fist, and it makes him so overpowered. Like, it was cool, but the concept of the story is just so random, and it's like, I just might want to check out issue 2 just to see what happens.
Yeah. And the weird thing too is this character that he fights that I still don't know is able to kill him with all that ability, unbreakable skin, the Hulk, the Sentry, and all that stuff, and he just like slices him in half, basically. You know, it's like, what? Yeah, okay. But yeah, I'm curious about it. It's just so weird. It was such a weird story.
Yep, absolutely. All right, so let's go on to our number 2 then. What was your number 2, Kat?
Mine was Snot Girl, actually. Issue 18.
Number 2.
I know. Well, we'll talk about the number 1, but you know, I like this issue. I think it's building towards something else where we get to see they do visit like the mom, but it's also like the aunt, and she finds out the mom's part of like some pop group that they used to be part of. And we're getting a little closer to the mystery of like who is Lottie's girlfriend, Caroline. But it is more of a point A to point B. It's like more of a going towards something than like, look at these big moments. But I love Snot Girl. Like even the point A to point B moments are amazing. So yeah, no, I love this book. If you're not reading it, I recommend it. I think it's very unique.
Very cool. What do you got, Brent?
Avengers. So we talked about it.
I thought you were going to say Timeless, man. My number 2 is actually the Ultimates. So we got that. Which brings us now to our number 1, because we talked about Shazam. I'm going to take a guess that everyone's is Absolute Superman.
I think so. Mine is.
Mine is
too. Yeah.
Okay, God, good. I guess right. Because no one else had it in their top 5. So I was like, it's gotta be Superman, especially the way we talked about it, how we praised the book. So
it was just it was a well-constructed issue. I love a comic that feels like there's a lot in it, because sometimes comics do just feel like that point A to point B, like, oh, I guess I gotta wait until next month. But this felt like in only 4 issues, there's so much that's happened in this series already, even more than Batman. And I like Absolute Batman a lot, and I like Batman more as a character. I think more has happened in Absolute Superman.
Yep, I agree.
Yeah, 100%. I agree.
All right, so I'm going to pass on over the Brant into our last segment here with the top, or not the top 10, but the most anticipated.
Going to top 10.
Yeah. So we got a lot of books in our most anticipated this week. I purposely chose different books because otherwise I would have just picked everything you guys picked because I'm looking forward to all of it. But I'll start with my number 3, which is Bug Wars. And I don't know if you guys know about this book, but it's a Jason Aaron book at Image. And I thought the concept sounded pretty interesting. I don't remember it off the top of my head, but I remember when I read it, it was pretty interesting. And at first I was like Bug Wars, but then it was like this, I think it was this kid is like in this world or this time where these bugs kind of, I don't know, they get overgrown or something, powered. I don't know what it was, but it was interesting. And it's Jason Aaron writing it. So I'm like, okay, that's cool. I'll try it out. So
I am getting it myself too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have to let me know. I know, especially you, Mike, you tend to read your books on Wednesday. You have to let me know if it's or at least some of your books on Wednesday, if it's worth it. 'Cause this is one that I was like, oh, well, I like it. I don't know. So it's not on my pull list right now. So we'll see if people are what they're talking about with it.
Yeah.
Did you see the comments there, Brent?
No, I did not.
Yeah, he said he shrinks in his backyard and then is introduced to the world of bugs.
Yeah, okay. I was just looking it up too. It's like it's not just bugs though either. There's like spider witches and beetle riding barbarians and all. It's like this whole other world down there. So it's kind of cool.
May I'll pick it up.
That's cool.
All right, so Aquaman number 2 is yours, Kat. I'm looking forward to this as well, but
yeah, I thought the first issue was really solid against Jeremy Adams. I think he does a great job at like constructing a story, giving us a lot from the supporting characters and the main characters. So I just want to see where he takes the book. And I remember enjoying issue 1 and feeling it was very solid.
Yeah, we got that cliffhanger with the Omega symbol and all that stuff. Yeah, excited about that one. And Cat just talked about cats. We'll jump to you, Mike, with your number 3, which is again another book we all read.
Yeah, Feral issue 10, just a fantastic horror book. Last issue had to deal with the crazy cat lady, and she wound up falling down the stairs, and the cats are trying to escape, and now she's blocking the door, and all the other rabid cats are getting ready to come after them. And man, this book is just intense. Like it's like a page turner, so much suspense. Kind of gives me that, Walking Dead vibe when I used to read The Walking Dead. You just it's kind of unpredictable. You don't know what to expect here.
Right. And everybody's at risk. You just never know. So we'll stick with you real quick for Geiger number 11. That's your number 2. And we talked about Ghost Machine stuff earlier. So
Geiger. Issue 11 is setting up to be an interesting issue. You talk about The Walking Dead, how they're in this desolate world and post-apocalyptic world, and there's different factions out there. There's people that have their own towns, and they're looking for a cure for Geiger. He can't control his powers, and it looks like they came to a place at the end of this last issue, and the person that's there that welcomes them looks like a female Geiger. Like, she has the cloak, she's got the rods in the back of her, and you're like, who is this freaking character? You're like, does she have the same powers? Like, it's just so intriguing to me. So I'm like, I definitely need to read this next issue.
Yeah, absolutely. This volume has been really good, really solid. Like, I don't know what it is, what the difference was between the first volume and this one that changed my mind on it. Because that first one, I read like one issue and I was just like, this isn't really for me. But this time around, it's just, I don't know, it's a lot stronger for me. So
I think it's just you get more of an overall, like, I feel like ongoing story where the original volume was more of just like introducing the character and like you only got to see him. And I think this one really focused more on the supporting cast. And I think that's what brought this character to life, honestly.
Right. I can see that for sure. Another book we referenced earlier, Absolute Batman, is your number 2, Cat.
Yeah, like I said, I like Batman more usually than Superman, and I am enjoying this series a lot, and I'm curious to see where it's going to go. I do think the last couple issues slowed down a little bit, so I'm curious to see if it's going to pick up more.
Yeah, Absolute Batman was like my number one of these three that we've gotten so far, and Superman is slowly overtaking it. I
agree.
It's getting really solid, but I agree with you. The last couple issues have been a little slow. Hopefully, this one gets back on track. So we'll see. My next one is Wonder World Under Doom. I'm just curious to see how this is gonna go. This is gonna determine like a lot of reading choices, in the near future. So.
I mean, this is a big deal. Like, I feel like this event is taking pretty much the entire Marvel universe, and I feel like when you look at Blood Hunt, that was like the appetizer because that set this whole thing up. That because of that event, it made Dr. Doom into what he is now, so he can control the Marvel universe. So hopefully, whatever happens here is for the better, and it makes all these other side books and things like that really good also, because there's a lot of them coming out, and I want to try them. I'm going to try them and see if they have to offer anything,
I'm hoping for good things, but I'm a little skeptical. You know how we feel about Marvel events. Yeah, of course. So we'll see. But I'm low key excited just because it's something different, and I it's been a while since we've done this kind of story, so I'm curious about it.
And like Fantastic Four kind of be in the middle of it all, because obviously they've been not in the middle of it all for a while. So that's cool.
Yeah, for sure. Then your number one, Mike, Transformers number 17, continuing the battle, and we get Ultra Magnus in this issue.
Yeah, I mean
after he ran away.
Yeah, it looks like they found him, and maybe now he's coming back to the battle, and he might help turn the tide. I don't know, but it doesn't ever go a month when Transformers comes out, and I'm not looking forward to it. Like, it's really good, and I just think that Daniel Warren Johnson now is coming to the beginning of his conclusion of his run on this title, and I think he's going to have something epic here, and it'll be interesting to see how long it's going to take before there's going to be a successor on this book. And but I am anxiously awaiting his conclusion here, and I think things are just going to get better as time goes along.
Yeah, I'm curious to see how he leaves things for the next person. So we'll see. And then finally, Mine and Cats number 1 is a book that I've really been looking forward to as well, which is Green Lantern Corps issue number 1, spinning out of all the other Green Lantern stuff. So
yeah, and we've been talking about Jeremy Adams and everything, and just seeing him expand this world again feels such like what Jeff Johns was doing with Green Lantern over 10 years ago. So it's cool to kind of see that and feel that again.
Yeah, and we've talked about the similarities between their runs and stuff, and in this case we have these what are they, fractal lanterns that are and the spectrum's like all chaotic and everything, so it's just really interesting, and curious to see like more focus on the rest of the core members, and hopefully Green Lantern, the solo title, will get back to like Howl centric stuff.
I feel like it's going to by like next issue.
I'm really excited about this book too. Like, it's just great to have a Green Lantern Corps book back. I mean, it hasn't been since I think the New 52 since we've had a Corps book. So this is great stuff, man. I'm really, really excited about it myself.
You're a Green Lantern fan, Mike? I didn't know.
Didn't even see it.
No, man. I don't know what makes you think that,
Yeah. It's only the book that got you into DC, right?
Yeah. This had so old. It's got so many stains on it and everything. I didn't even throw it in the washing machine. But yeah, I had to go with the theme of DC today just because we were talking about Tom Taylor. So so
that's cool. All right, but that's it. That's all our most anticipated.
That's it. So that means it's time to wrap up the show. Appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for watching tonight. It wasn't a big news night, but we always deliver on a show no matter what. And hopefully you guys enjoyed it. So if you did enjoy it, please give it a thumbs up on your way out. Make sure you hit the notification bell so you don't miss any live shows from us. And remember, subscribe to all of our channels. Branch channel, Only Good Comics, Catch channel, Comic Uno, my channel, Comic Book Corner 2.0. And don't forget about Comic Book Weekly. That's the channel where all these live shows go, so you can watch them or listen to them at your convenience. So with that being said, guys, have a great night. Have a great new comic book day. It's going to be a hefty one. Get your dollars ready, and we'll look forward to seeing y'all next week. Take care.